Hi there, it's Dr. Julie Hartman here with MindfulResourceCenter.com and ConsciousAllyParenting.com, whipping up this video summary for you of the amazing mindfulness lesson with the Narwhals elementary schoolers at Northbridge Academy. We started off with me teaching them about how mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment with gentleness and kindness, and how as humans it's one of our almost superhuman abilities that when we get good at learning how to do mindfulness and practicing it every day, it helps our memory get really big, it helps us with creativity, it helps us with our athletics, it helps us with problem solving and learning and getting along with others. It's one of those really cool things that helps us with all of our goals and all of our efforts. And so I also ask them, we all are told to pay attention, but we're not necessarily taught how to pay attention. And so these mindfulness lessons are going to teach them how to pay attention. And so I ask them where their attention is right now. So I'd like you as the listener, whether you're the teacher or you're one of the parents, to think about where your attention is right now. I know right now my attention is on talking to you guys, but it's also noticing the people walking behind me in the reflection of this video. It's also on the wind blowing on my hair. It's also on the cars in the parking lot that I'm noticing right now, right? So our attention has a tendency to go all different kinds of places, and mindfulness is about getting good at noticing where our attention is, and then also getting good at bringing our attention to where we want it to be. And so what I'm going to encourage parents and teachers to do is once a day for a minute, they're going to use some kind of device. Now this is a meditation bowl. We call it a bell. You can have something like this, or there is an app called the Insight Timer that's free. You can get on your phone, and then under the timer section, you can click on the different bell sounds. You can hit the duration for a minute, and then you can hit that bell sound and practice this with your kids or students in the classroom once a day. And so here's what I invited the students to do, is to allow their attention to notice the bell sound all the way until the end, and then when they're no longer noticing the sound, to raise their hand. And so I'm going to see if this can come into my microphone. Okay, so good. And then we raise our hands when the attention sound is no longer noticeable. And then I ask them, so where was your attention during that practice? What did you notice? And oftentimes they say, I noticed the bell sound, or I noticed the sounds in the room next door. And I'd say, good. That was all mindfulness. You just practiced mindfulness. Great work. Noticing where your attention is mindfulness. Great job. And then we have a goal or an intention, right? And in that case, the goal was to listen to the bell sound. And so were you able to allow your attention to focus on that goal? And some people were able to say, yeah, I was able to still be able to try to pay attention to that goal. And it was like, great, that's great mindfulness. And then other people were like, no, I couldn't hardly even hear the bell because I kept getting distracted by other things. And I say, good, that's great mindfulness, good noticing. Right? So that is how you bring it in the classroom, and how you bring it at home is anything that has to do with any attention, anything that has to do with noticing. You praise that as good mindfulness, all right? Because we're really setting up the value of attention and noticing, and mindfulness is all important. Okay, so then the next lesson I taught was mindful bodies. And I taught how, our mindfulness is affected and our attention is affected by the position of our bodies. And it doesn't have to be a good or a bad thing. It's just a noticing. It's just a being aware, right? So you can practice mindfulness laying down. You can practice mindfulness sitting up or standing. Lots of different ways to be mindful and to practice mindfulness. Right? And I invited them to pretend like they had no muscles and no bones. And so they let gravity have their way with them, and they slump. Let's see if I can model this for you. Way down. So they're like no bones, no muscles, right? And then I asked them to think about how it's like paying attention. Like if they had to, the whole school day, they were to learn math and reading and writing and science and social studies that way. So then I had them sit rigid like a statue, like there was cement in their spine and in their bones and in their muscles. And I had that, like, have their face really stiff and their neck really stiff and their abs really stiff and their arms really stiff like robots and statues. And if they had to be like this all day long, really stiff, muscles all contracted, what that would be like to pay attention and to learn that way. And they all acknowledged that would be exhausting, that would be really hard, and that would hurt. And I said, that's right, you know, good, that's good noticing, and I happen to agree. And so then I told them that a mindful body is something in between, that it's an alert state that they can choose to have when they want to particularly pay attention in the learning environment. And so that is where they have, I told them, an erect spine that is active. Their abdominal muscles are active. They're not like super strong, like getting a workout, but they're active. Their chest and their heart is open. It's open and welcoming learning. Their shoulders are propped up. Their neck is long and their chin is open, and their throat is open and up. And their eyes are open and paying attention to what it is that their goal or their intention is and paying attention to. And then I had them do the mindful bell, and they were able to notice the difference and having a mindful body and paying attention on purpose in the present moment with gentleness and kindness. And most of them were able to remark that there was something about that seemed seemed helpful in helping them be able to kind of hear the bell sound, even though there were a lot of distractions around and other noises around. So how you can bring this in the classroom or at home in a really seamless way is after lunch or after recess, you have the kids turn off the lights and sit at their desks, and you ring the bell on the Insight timer or an actual Tibetan bell or one of the chime bells, and you have them notice for a minute all the way until the sound ends and they raise their hand and say, great mindfulness practice. Okay, let's go on ahead now and transition into the next lesson. Right? You can do the same thing if at home, prior to bedtime or prior to starting homework or something like that. You can, in the classroom, if you're noticing that the students are really in a mood, or they're really dysregulated, or they're having a difficult time transitioning between one subject to the next, you can encourage a mindful minute. Most kids will actually be like, okay, because they've now been trained that it's just a minute, and for most kids it feels good, and there's no pressure, there's no right or wrong. It's about practicing it and the fact that there are distractions there, and that is okay. And over time, the practice becomes built into their autopilot, and it's something they'll find themselves doing when they're waiting in line at recess or in the grocery store with you. It's taking so long, and they find themselves doing a mindful minute on their own, and it just is sort of soothing, or it just helps buy them some time or some patience or various other benefits that can come from these types of practices over time. All right, I look forward to more with you guys. Take good care.